all the clay on the planet, according to one fairly authoritative source that I've read, you can make a layer a mile thick around the entire planet. So it's the most common building material on the planet. It holds up really well to heat, and it's really nice to work. So you take clay soil and you mix it with a variety of different things. I could use another set of hands if anybody wants to help over here. You can make a mixture that will hold heat. So the oven is basically like a battery, and what we're doing, that's what happens sometimes. Yeah, we're going to have to be really sort of careful. You want to press the mud into itself. Don't worry too much. This is a, we're going to go around. This is what happens if you don't build a good foundation. Right? I believe in learning by doing. See, I'm going to do and you're going to learn. All right. So we're building a shell around the outside of the oven. Are you going to help, bud?
I'm going to hand you mud.
What?
I'm going to hand you mud.
You're not going to get anything from the mud?
I said I'm going to hand you.
Oh, okay, good. And even though this oven looks ridiculously small, it's a very useful size, because you can build an oven like this in a very short amount of time, and in the course of doing so, you will learn everything you need to know about your local materials. And if it works, you've got to be careful pressing on the gray, because
I'm not pressing that.
okay, but this is kind of wobbly. The sand is cracked.
Is the idea that you're going to build the mud up along the outside and then later pull the sand out?
Yeah, yes. So we're basically just gonna cover the sand with earth, clayey dirt, has some sand mixed in. We're gonna pack it, and then we'll cut a hole in it, empty the sand out, and we'll have an oven. Okay, oh, all right, well, we're just gonna cover it up. And I'm being very quick and dirty here because I'm afraid it's going to fall down. But you'll see, I mean, this is also the beauty of the material, is that it's very forgiving. Just a little bit.
You have to let the mud set up, or the clay set up?
It's not like cement that goes through a chemical reaction. It just has to be stiff enough to support its own weight. And we purposely made this mix very stiff so that we could build an oven like this. Oh, but don't get the clay wet. That's enough water. Okay, no more. No more. No more water, please.
Sand mixed in it too?
Yes, this has sand mixed in. That's just wet mud. So even though I'm being quick and dirty here, I am trying to pay attention to the thickness of the layer, because the thickness of the layer determines how much charge the battery can hold. So this is sort of the easy bake version, right? So a little more than an inch is fine. For most home ovens, I recommend about 3 inches of material as adequate mass, because most home bakers are really only going to be baking 1 or 2 batches of bread or a few pizzas, and then the oven's going to retain so much heat after that that you're going to be hard pressed to keep it full of food as long as it's hot, because it'll retain heat. A well-insulated oven will retain baking temperatures for 12 hours or so. So there's not a lot of home bakers who are going to be able to make use of all that. So it doesn't make sense to build an oven that's going to require more fuel and more time and more energy than you really have. So this is very rough and dirty, but I think it'll work.
How long does it take to get the oven ready to bake?
It depends on how much baking you want to do. If you're only looking to bake a single batch of bread, you can get, and you know, it depends on your oven as well, but you could get an oven hot enough for a single bake in an hour or less. If you want to bake for a long time and you have a lot of stuff and you need higher temperatures, 2 to 3 hours is normal. If you're a commercial baker and you have a really big oven and you're heating it up from cold, it might take you 5-6 hours to get the oven really hot, but that oven is going to be 6 to 7 inches thick, and you're going to keep firing it every day for the next 10 years. So it really varies a lot according to your requirements and your usage. If you just want to roast some vegetables, you can put a fire in the oven and roast vegetables immediately, because the fire coming over the top of the oven is enough to broil anything you want to cook. So for that kind of cooking, you don't really have any heat up time. And please ask questions, because that's why we're here. Yes, bud? No, not yet. After I'm done, okay? But you can see how this, and for you folks who mix this batch, even though this seemed like a really dry mix, you can see that tamping it not only consolidates the material, but also brings up a lot of moisture. So that's proof that we got plenty of wet in there. And now that my sand form is encased, right, even though I was really sloppy about putting the mud on there, it's all hanging together.
I came late, but why is it being built on up to the side instead of on the cart?
This is just a demo.
Okay, got it.
So what I'm doing here, this is a great question. What I'm doing here, we're going to do large scale here for the oven that's going to get auctioned off. And we're not going to be so sloppy. So if you're thinking about buying it, don't worry. It's going to be a good oven. But really what I'm trying to encourage you to do is to try it yourself, because it's not complicated. And the beautiful thing is that once you get an oven built, you'll realize that you have all the skills you need to build a house.
Oh no, it just gets worse and worse.
Right?
I said, oh God, it just gets worse and worse.
Or better and better. And I have letters from people who have done just that. You know, they wanted an oven, they're interested in baking. They think, oh, you know, I can't afford a big fancy oven. I can't afford to hire a mason for a week or two, but I can do this. And then they do it and they realize, geez, not only does it work, but I could do it and it was really easy. Maybe I could build a house. And into German, and he did precisely that. He built an oven. He didn't have any building experience. He started a little bakery, and after that he realized, geez, I could build a house. So he did, and he built it on land belonging to some older farmers who were really supportive of what he and his wife were doing, and decided these guys need a place to live. We'll let them build on our place. So it's a true thing. It's not just a line.
So this is the door you're cutting at now.
So now I've just cut out the door, and
You would wait to cut the door or pull out the sand.
how are you going to put the bread in when it's full of sand? You have to take the sand out. So we need another bucket. Empty bucket. There's a bucket. Can you do that, bub?
I'll take the sand
You
out.
want to take the sand out?
Sorry.
So you really wouldn't build your oven on plastic, would you?
No, you wouldn't build your oven on plastic. Good, you got it. A plus. You don't build your oven on plastic
Well, it's obvious.
because it'll get hot and melt,
Yeah.
and it'll be really ugly. But you can use wood judiciously if you're careful. This one, whoever gets this at auction, and this warning applies to actually any piece of masonry that you put fire in. If you overfire it, you'll not only damage the masonry, you'll also put your house at risk, right, for fire. Because when you overfire masonry, it cracks, the cracks open up, soot can move through, the soot collects, and that becomes your fire hazard.